What if I told you that the most powerful man on the internet was once just a 19-year-old college kid, sitting in a dorm room in his pajamas, writing code, and that the website he built in 2 weeks would one day be worth more than the entire GDP of most countries? Mark Zuckerberg. Love him or hate him, and believe me, the world is divided on this. You cannot deny what he built. From Facebook to Instagram, to WhatsApp, to the Metaverse. His companies now touch the lives of over 3 billion people every single day. But here's what most people get wrong about Zuckerberg. They think he just got lucky. They think he was a tech nerd in the right place at the right time. Today on Wealth Chronicle, we're going to prove that wrong. Because the real story of how he built a $200 billion fortune is far more calculated, far more ruthless, and far more fascinating than you've ever been told. Stay until the end, because we're going to break down the exact financial moves that made him one of the richest humans alive, and the lessons that every serious investor and entrepreneur absolutely needs to hear. Mark Elliott Zuckerberg was born on May 14, 1984, in White Plains, New York. He grew up in Dobbs Ferry, a quiet, upper-middle-class suburb, the son of a dentist father and a psychiatrist mother. Comfortable, stable, but burning with ambition. By the time he was 12, he had already built a messaging program he called ZuckNet, essentially a private AOL instant messenger for his family's home and his dad's dental office. His father hired a private software tutor to keep up with his son's abilities. Let that sink in. A professional programmer couldn't keep up with a middle schooler. At Phillips Exeter Academy, one of the most elite prep schools in America, he mastered Latin, ancient Greek, and fencing, while simultaneously building a music recommendation app called Synapse. And here's the financial lesson number 1, folks. Microsoft and AOL both offered him $1 million to buy it. He said no. $1 million. At 17, he walked away. Because he already knew his ideas were worth more than a quick exit. That kind of long-term thinking, that's the foundation of generational wealth. He enrolled at Harvard in 2002, studying computer science and psychology. That combination is not a coincidence. Understanding how human minds work, what drives engagement, what triggers emotion, that knowledge would become the secret weapon behind the most addictive platform ever built. February 4th, 2004. Zuckerberg launches the Facebook.com from his dorm room in Kirkland House. The initial investment? Around $1,000 of his own money for servers. Within 24 hours, 1,200 students had signed up. Within a month, more than half of Harvard was on it. He then did something that separates good entrepreneurs from legendary ones. He expanded, methodically. First Columbia, then Yale, then Stanford, then all Ivy League schools, then every university in America. He didn't just throw the product at the world. He built exclusivity. He made people want in. Now, here's where the story gets messy. And this is important for anyone building a business. In 2004, classmates Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, along with Divya Narendra, sued Zuckerberg, claiming he stole their idea for a Harvard social network called Harvard Connection. This legal battle dragged on for years, and in 2008, Zuckerberg settled for $65 million in cash and Facebook stock. Financial lesson number 2. Protecting your intellectual property is as important as building it. The Winklevoss twins later used their settlement to invest in Bitcoin early, making them billionaires twice over. So even in defeat, Smart financial moves change lives. Back to Facebook. In June 2004, Zuckerberg drops out of Harvard, famously, and moves to Palo Alto, California. He secures his first outside investment, $500,000 from PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel in exchange for 10.2% of the company. That $500,000 stake would eventually be worth over $1 billion. Not a bad return, Peter. By 2006, Facebook had 12 million users. Yahoo offered $1 billion to buy it. Zuckerberg, then 22 years old, said no, again. The board was furious. Investors were nervous. But Zuckerberg had a vision that went beyond any number on a check. Then, in 2007, Microsoft invested $240 million for a 1.6% stake, valuing Facebook at $15 billion. A company with zero revenue at the time. Pure potential. Here is where most people completely misunderstand Zuckerberg's wealth. Because on the surface, Facebook looks like a free product. You don't pay for it. So how does a free product generate over $130 billion in annual revenue? The answer: you are not the customer. You are the product. Facebook's entire business model is built on advertising. They collect an almost incomprehensible amount of data about who you are, what you like, what you fear, what you want, and they sell access to your attention to advertisers. The average Facebook user is worth roughly $50 per year in advertising revenue. Multiply that by 3 billion users. You start to understand the machine. In 2012, Facebook went public, the IPO of the decade. The stock was priced at $38 per share, valuing the company at $104 billion. It was the third largest IPO in US history at the time. Zuckerberg retained a majority of voting control through a dual-class share structure, meaning he could never be removed by shareholders, no matter what. Financial lesson number 3. Structure your ownership so your vision is always protected. But here's the genius move that most people overlook. Zuckerberg didn't just build one company. He used Facebook's growing cash machine to go on an acquisition spree that would reshape the entire internet. In 2012, he bought Instagram for $1 billion. Everyone laughed. Instagram had 13 employees and zero revenue. Today, Instagram alone is estimated to be worth over $100 billion. That's a 100 times return in just over a decade. In 2014, he bought WhatsApp for $19 billion, the largest acquisition of a venture-backed startup in history at the time. WhatsApp had 450 million users and was growing by 1 million users per day. Today, it has over 2 billion users and is the dominant messaging app in most of the world. In the same year, he bought Oculus VR for $2 billion, planting his flag in a future that hasn't fully arrived yet, but that he is betting his entire legacy on. Financial lesson number 4. The greatest investors buy the future before the present understands it. Let's talk about the moments that nearly broke everything, because no wealth story is complete without the valleys. 2016, the US presidential election. Suddenly, Facebook was no longer just a place to share vacation photos. It was a battleground for disinformation. Foreign actors had spent tens of millions of dollars on Facebook ads to influence the election. Zuckerberg initially downplayed the impact, calling concerns a pretty crazy idea. He would later admit that was a mistake. 2018, Cambridge Analytica. A political consulting firm had harvested the private data of up to 87 million Facebook users without their knowledge. and used it to build psychological profiles for targeted political advertising. Zuckerberg was summoned to Congress. Senators who didn't know what an algorithm was grilled the world's most powerful tech CEO on national television. It was awkward. It was tense. Facebook's stock dropped, but it recovered. Because here's the financial reality. Facebook was simply too big to fail, too embedded in global communication, too central to the advertising industry. Despite every scandal, the user numbers kept growing. Then came 2021 and the rebrand. Zuckerberg announced Facebook was becoming Meta. The company was going all in on the Metaverse, virtual reality, augmented reality, a new digital world. He invested tens of billions of dollars into this bet. The stock market hated it. In 2022, Meta's stock collapsed 77% from its peak. In a single year, Zuckerberg's personal net worth dropped by over $80 billion. The largest single-year personal wealth destruction in history. $80 billion. Gone. Most people would have panicked. Most CEOs would have reversed course. Zuckerberg doubled down. And in 2023, Meta came roaring back. The stock quadrupled. Zuckerberg cut costs aggressively, laying off more than 21,000 employees in what he called the year of efficiency. Revenue rebounded. AI investments started paying off, and his net worth climbed back past $150 billion. Financial lesson number 5. The most dangerous words in investing are, "I can't take this anymore." The people who held through 2022 and into 2023 made extraordinary returns. Conviction in the face of chaos is a superpower. Let's get to the numbers, because this is Wealth Chronicle, and we do not shy away from the math. As of 2024, Mark Zuckerberg's net worth sits at approximately $170 to $200 billion, fluctuating with Meta's stock price. He owns roughly 13% of Meta's outstanding shares. That's the engine of his wealth. When Meta does well, he does extraordinarily well. When Meta stumbles, billions evaporate overnight. He has essentially bet his entire financial life on one company and won. Beyond stocks, Zuckerberg has quietly built a significant real estate portfolio. He owns a sprawling compound in Palo Alto, California, valued at over $100 million. Actually, a collection of multiple houses on surrounding streets that he bought out to create privacy. He owns a massive 1,500-acre ranch on the island of Kauai in Hawaii, a property called Ko'olau Ranch, where he reportedly plans to build an elaborate, self-sufficient compound. He owns a home in Lake Tahoe, property in San Francisco, and more. The philanthropy play. In 2015, when his daughter Maxima was born, Zuckerberg and his wife Priscilla Chan announced the Chan-Zuckerberg Initiative, pledging to give away 99% of their Facebook shares over their lifetimes. At current valuations, that's a pledge worth over $100 billion. This is one of the largest philanthropic commitments in human history. But, and this is a critical financial lesson, the Chan-Zuckerberg Initiative is structured as an LLC, not a traditional charity. That structure gives them far more flexibility in how they deploy capital, including making for-profit investments. Smart philanthropy is also smart financial architecture. The salary you won't believe. Here's a fact that will break your brain. Mark Zuckerberg pays himself a salary of just $1 per year. His wealth doesn't come from income. It comes from asset appreciation. This is how the ultra-wealthy operate. They don't earn money. They own things that grow in value. That's financial lesson number 6, and it's one of the most important concepts in personal finance. So what can we take from the Zuckerberg playbook? Here are your 6 Wealth Chronicle lessons. Lesson 1. Know your value. At 17, Zuckerberg turned down $1 million offer. If you've built something real, don't accept the first check that's waved in your face. Lesson 2. Protect what you build. Legal and ownership structures are not just for lawyers, they are financial weapons. Dual-class shares kept Zuckerberg in control when shareholders wanted him out. Lesson 3. Acquire strategically. Instagram for $1 billion looked insane in 2012. Today, it looks like the deal of the century. The best acquisitions happen before the crowd realizes what they're worth. Lesson 4. Survive the dip. Losing $80 billion in a year and staying the course takes a kind of discipline most people simply do not have. Building wealth requires weathering storms that would sink most ships. Don't earn, own. A $1 salary with $200 billion in assets is the ultimate proof that income is not wealth. Ownership of appreciating assets is wealth. Lesson 6. Bet on the future early. The metaverse may not be here yet, but the person who builds it while everyone else is laughing, that person wins. Mark Zuckerberg is not a saint. He is not a villain. He is a builder, relentlessly focused, sometimes ruthless, always playing the longest possible game. And whether you admire him or distrust him, the financial architecture he has built is a masterclass in what it means to think in decades, not quarters. That's the story of the kid from Dobbs Ferry who rewired how the world connects and built one of the greatest fortunes in human history along the way. If this video gave you value, subscribe to Wealth Chronicle. We break down the greatest wealth stories in the world every single week. Drop a comment telling me, would you have taken the $1 billion offer from Yahoo in 2006? I want to know. I'll see you in the next one. Stay wealthy.